Welcome back to Equal Time. We're goofing around. We're trying something. We're watching some UPSL soccer for the first time on the Equal Time socials. I'm Mark Pavratsky here safely without the thunder, without the rain that delayed the game a half hour. Matt is at Seafoam. We have a special guest to introduce to you, Jade Smith, in just a second. Matt, what are you seeing at Aurora on the ground for Aurora 2? What do you see from their lineup today?
Yeah, I was here on time. It was absolutely pouring here. Did technically have some lightning, so that's what led to the delay. Really good crowd here. You know, at least definitely more than 100 folks. Considering the rain is pretty impressive. Couple of really interesting changes for the Aurora starting lineup today. We got Cassie Schoen seeing her first minutes in an Aurora uniform. She's a D1 standout for Alabama State for 4 years. Is now doing her fifth year elsewhere. She was at tryouts and looked good. Also seeing Aya Makled, who was, I believe, a St. Kate's standout. She got an assist in the last game, is sort of like a technical central midfielder, is really good on the ball, maybe not like an overly physical player, but just showed tons of potential in her first minutes last game. So those are two tweaks to the starting lineup that'll be interesting to see. Then otherwise, largely that sort of first 11 we've seen from Aurora 2 so far. So should be a really good matchup because Vlora has been performing well.
Yeah, just for people coming in, we're going to mix it up and get into talking with Jade about St. Cloud State and some other things. Look, Jade, I found an article from 2014. I'm going to ask you about West Ham, baby, but we're going to talk to Jade about her soccer past. For people in the context of the game that's about to start, Matt dropped in a little bit of the Aurora context for the roster. Vlora's up top right now of the UPSL Midwest West. It's because there's no Midwest East. It's the best named division in all of Summer League soccer, baby. But Vlora's up top early in the season. Aurora's right behind them. So it means this win would mean a great deal to both squads. But overall, a really big place for Vlora to be after losing. Well, they lost their first game on the field, Jade, to Granite City 3-0. But Granite City had an ineligible player, and so that turned into a win, and then they've just sort of turned into this team on a run, and so they're at the top after finishing, I think, third from the bottom out of 6, in the last season. So, but let's get into a little bit with you, Jade. Jade, we'd asked off camera, but in the summer, I mean, it's not really a break. People might think it's a break, but how do you consume the game in the summer? I'm sure you're recruiting, but how do you watch the game? I mean, you're doing it right now, but how do you have time to watch the game in the summer?
Yeah, so obviously we're out recruiting. I'd say summer's almost just as busy as season, if not busier, because we're out either watching commits play, looking for future Huskies. And then, was really grateful for a lot of the leagues doing live streams this year. So we've been able to tune in and sort of cheer on the players or see stuff on social media and connect with the players just to see how they're doing. And then outside of that, I'm doing my A license. So I have a ton of film and things that I have to review and edit. So I'm in the thick of that right now. So there is no rest right now for us.
Jade, I wanted to ask you because we had our first few games with Emma Hayes as our new manager. We need your input. She coached Chelsea, which, I mean, they're winning too many titles. It's getting old, but we're happy to have her, and I've liked what I've seen from her. But, was that anything special for you of like, you're in the U.S., you're a big part of U.S. soccer culture now.
Yes.
Did you get to watch the games? Like, what are your thoughts on her becoming the manager of the U.S.?
Oh, I think it's awesome. Like, she is a phenomenal world-class coach. Like, part of me's gutted. Like, obviously, we've got a great coach for the English women's national team. But, like, part of me was like, oh, man, I'm sure she was a shoo-in at that point, too, when we exited and got our new coach. But, I mean, yeah, it was a no-brainer when they were looking at who it is. And I'm super excited to see how her staff plays out. I think she's going to have some really fun kids come through. Hear a lot from the US scouts. They're looking at really mixing things up. There's a lot of young players coming into some of the camp. So I think she's going to do a fantastic job of, at the end of the day, the gap has closed from the US national team. I don't think we're going to see that true dominance ever again because of how it's been invested in across the world. And you've got some of the top flight US teams players even going overseas now and not even staying stateside. So I'm really curious. I think she's going to come in with an iron fist, but she really cares about players. I love her coaching style, and I'm really excited to see what she does. But no, I could not get tickets because it sounds like it was an absolute sellout. A lot of our players, I found like a couple of them got tickets, and I was not quick on the band of sitting on Ticketmaster to try and get one.
They're not cheap. They're not cheap, Jade. Yeah, you got come down to the Black Card as the fallback. We got the big screens down there. Matt, remind folks just how on the come up this St. Cloud State program is for people who don't follow our Division II coverage, because we're getting Jade at the high point. She's probably got interviews she had to turn down all day for this.
Oh yeah, St. Cloud State has never been hotter than right now. For those who maybe we didn't explicitly say it, Jade, an assistant coach up at St. Cloud State and the NSIC, which is the D2 conference for Minnesota and our neighboring programs. St. Cloud had their first conference championship in program history, first NCAA tournament in conference history. Mark and I got to go up there and broadcast the NSIC tournament, which St. Cloud got to host, which was so fun. And I will just tell you, I went to a game up there. I didn't live tweet it. I just went up there and filmed for highlights. And I went up to Jade and Greta, who's the head coach. And after the game, I was like, man, you guys are playing some soccer, dude. Like, it was just high quality ball, really good movement, really good spacing. Anyone who follows our coverage of D1, D2, all of college knows that a lot of college soccer games are a slog. Like, games can get into mud. Teams can park. Teams can just, like, slog it out. And St. Cloud is just doing it the right way. They are so easy to root for with Jade and Greta up there. And the fun thing is about Summer League, we got tons of NSIC talent in the UPSL. You know, we have Ellie Primorano, Prim out on the wing, who's a St. Cloud State Husky. We got not in the starting lineup, but Laney at left back is a Mankato State product. Over for Vlora, we have Lexi Johnson from BSU. We have tons of other. We have Kayla Matzazak, who's the keeper for Vlora. They did some cool graphics for her. She plays for Concordia, so she's on her home pitch. Just tons of NSIC talent to showcase over the summer, which is just an absolute blast. D2 gets nowhere near the love that D1 does nationally. But the nice thing in Minnesota is so much local coverage from these local papers. The Bemidji paper, the Mankato paper, St. Cloud Media gets out once in a while. These teams actually do get more local coverage than the D1 teams. The D1 teams only get covered by me and Equal Time. And all these D2s get these regional papers, which is so fun to see these reporters out there covering these folks.
Yeah, Jade, I want to ask you, it's so, and by the way, we mention it from time to time. It's exciting. Very soon, St. Cloud will have the second biggest soccer stadium in the state, because it'll be, aside from Allianz Stadium. So that'll be very cool. The game's about to kick off here, but as it gets going, I wanted to ask you, Jade, a little of your past. I forget if we've ever gotten to get into this on Equal Time, but you coached in Bismarck, North Dakota, Soccer City, USA, right? So, but you coach Magic City Football Club, or Magic Soccer Football Club, which that they're covering all bases in that by calling it Soccer Football Club. But Legacy High School, you, Mary, like, what were your first impressions when you coached in Bismarck? Because I joke, but we have players who get into these summer leagues from Bismarck, but it's not like you in England are thinking, North Dakota, that's where I'm going to go build my football empire. You played there, obviously.
Yeah, I played there. I'm really grateful for Sarah Cook and Dave Cook. They've been great mentors and connected me with the right people in Bismarck. Ricardo Pierre-Louis, he was a former MLS player and played for the Haitian national team. And he was working to build a club because he really had a different passion for like how the game is played and wanted to sort of set up his own brand, and was really grateful. Me and Logan Christensen, the current assistant at Mary, were able to join him on that journey and build the club from scratch. So that was a lot of fun to be able to leave behind, in my opinion, like Bismarck better than what it was, of being able to create the women's game over there a little bit more. So that was a lot of fun. Like the kids, the families are phenomenal out in Bismarck. Like they're really cool. There was little kids that came to our games when I was a player that I was coaching, and they're all about to start coming through the recruiting cycle pretty shortly. So it's been fun just seeing them. I see stuff on Twitter and Facebooks from families of these youngsters that were like about the size of my hip wandering around when I was a player, like standing on the sidelines to now hopefully chasing their dreams to carry on playing soccer. So
Mhm.
really cool. Really different dynamic. Obviously, there's not as many people compared to the cities, and just being able to give them and afford opportunities for young people to grow the game was really what it was all about. And I had a lot of fun, and yeah, was able to have a lot of opportunities with ODP and things because of that experience. So very grateful for it and grateful for the people that provided that opportunity.
Mhm. Matt, it sounds like Revanchlet is there. I'm hearing a "We're Teal" chant, right?
I was wondering if it was coming through because the sound is coming through my AirPods. There's a couple, Mel and a couple, there's at least one drummer, and then Mel is down there from Revanchlet.
Yeah.
Vlora, also, you can, maybe when they do, I'm not sure if a camera angle will ever show it, there's like 3 or 4 folks with Vlora flags and a really good Vlora turnout. The crowd is probably 60-40 Aurora Vlora, but really good energy so far from the crowd.
Cool.
Super, super fun.
Yeah. Shout out to the Vlora squad. I went and called a game for them. They gave me some gear, and I'm always gonna shout them out. But it was very fun. The team, they lost the game, but against Tonka too, but they were performing really well. And so it is it's nice. One of the people with Vlora is one of my customers at the bar, so it's nice. I get a little peek into the club, and they're one of the tryhards in UPSL. Jade, what's your experience been like? I mean, you played here. A while back, you came to play in college at Mary, and then you've been a coach in college, so obviously you're aware of your players having summer plans. Like, what's your interactions been like with summer league? Have you ever coached for a spot in it? Or is it more just as the experience of the coach, kind of advising players?
Yeah, great question. So for us, actually, I was part of the inaugural WPSL season. So I played at Dakota Fusion.
Oh, nice.
We played against some big time heavy hitters down in Chicago. And I'll never forget playing against the North Carolina 6-foot center mid captain. And I don't even think I can jump that high, let alone mark this kid. And literally it was all Power 5 kids, Penn State, Alabama, every player. And I think some play in the NWSL now. So that was a real fun experience.
Yeah.
Did that for a season. So I was just driving back and forth from Bismarck to Fargo. But I just wanted to play. For us, our big thing is for our players, like, go where you're going to be happy and where you're going to feel the most prepared. We don't necessarily tell them where they've got to go. There's a lot of opportunities across different states because we have a lot of out-of-state players. And then obviously in Minnesota. So for us, it's about them going and finding those opportunities. Or if they need help trying to explore those, like Prim, for example, she's from Michigan. So like when she started to say, hey, I think I'm going to stay in Minnesota. All right, if you talk to your teammates, you've got quite a few Minnesotans or players coming in that are playing in these leagues. Have you asked where they're playing? Go try out. So I think for us, it's them finding the best environment for themselves. And I think it's really good for them to play with different players. Like you mentioned a couple like Kira Laney, great outside back in the NSIC, great kid, great family.
Ooh, Aurora's in here. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So for me, like, playing with other players is really good because it's easy to play in our system once you're in it. Like, you know everyone's tendencies, you know where to play. Now you've really got to think differently. And we tell the players, like, go in and be open-minded. Every coach and every team's going to have a different system, and it's just going to broaden your IQ as a player. So be open to it. It might not be how we play, or it might not be how you think we want to play, but at the end of the day, it's going to get you the most prepared for season by playing the game instead of just running a fitness packet.
Yeah. No, well, two varied opportunities. Yeah, Matt.
Well, speaking of, you talked about having the conversation with Prim and Aurora with a really good chance coming up here. Flip ball through by Machland, and that's a crazy save. So the stream is actually about 40 seconds behind, so I'm biting my tongue as these plays happen in the stadium.
Well, allow me to interject. I guess you're good. Yeah.
Well, no, that's why I'm calling it as I see it on StreamYard. But when you talk about having the conversation with Ali Primerano, I was at tryouts and you got to see, and this Aurora 2 team is made up so much of that tryout group, and so it was really cool to see them. Open tryouts are insane. Open tryouts are crazy. They are like impossible to show well. Like a certain type of player shows well at tryouts, but a ton of players on this team came through that tryout system. And the story I texted, I think, Jade and Greta after the tryout what was really fun was that Ellie Primerano, really young D2 kid from St. Cloud State, the entire tryout was battling Cassie Schoen, who's a grown woman who had played 4 years of D1, and Ellie's out there battling this like super strong, mature, you know, has played 70 D1 games in her career, and they're battling it out in tryouts, and Ellie just shows the grit and sort of earns her way in. That's sort of like the peak of what it's like to see players earn it onto the squad. So UPSL probably has the biggest player spread like that of different player experiences, ages, all that stuff. And that's what makes it sort of rad to follow. All of summer soccer is that way, but UPSL, I think, is the most of all the 3 leagues we cover.
Most local for sure. I did, Jade, I teased, I mean, maybe I wanted you to get nervous. I don't know, but I have the article from when you made your debut. Do you remember? First of all, do you remember? There's nothing crazy, but there are some details I want to quiz you about because it is. I hate to break it to you, 9.5 years old. So 10.
Well, I'm Asian.
And Jade, guess what? We're older than you, so don't worry. We're even, which is, we're older than everybody, but that we talked to on here. But so I want to ask you first. Do you know what day you made your debut?
No, but I remember the facility.
For West Ham ladies, by the way, and this was in the FA Women's Premier League, and she was not playing on TV or in the main stand the way the Super League is now. I could only guess, but it was December 1st, 2014. I'm assuming, or it was the day before this, or it was a couple days before this. You won 3-1 on your debut. You scored, by the way, or no, yeah, you scored. And so I want to ask, do you remember the other 2 players who scored? Because you had the game-winning goal, by the way. It was a 3-1, and you scored the second goal. Do you remember
I'm
the
sure,
other goal?
I bet Kelly. Did Kelly score? She was one of our top goal scorers.
What's her last name?
Blanche something.
No, it was. Let's see.
Nikita, not Nikita. Who's our really good forwards?
Oh yeah, so. Well, I am seeing Kelly Blanchflower.
Yeah, Blanchflower was phenomenal. She was such a good player. She played at Arsenal, played for the youth national team. Like Kelly was a phenomenal person. And when I got into the first team, I remember just standing there going, I'm not meant to be here. Like these are ex-Chelsea, United, Chelsea, Arsenal players, and they were brilliant. And yeah, she was fun and dynamic. Like she was a fun player to learn a lot from. I was the youngest player on the team, so it felt very out.
Well, I would imagine because this was before. So I mean, for context, to give people a scale, because women's soccer is growing really quickly, and so a lot of people probably haven't followed it that long. I wasn't following it closely in 2014. You went from playing in the Premier League in England to playing at Mary in D2 in Minnesota. So that's what the Premier League meant at the time for a woman playing in England. And quite frankly, the US had a bit more stability. It wasn't that much better. They were still playing some high school stadiums. It was tough times. So what are your favorite memories from playing that? Because that's still a very cool thing to get to play for a club like West Ham, wear the badge. What was that like? What are your memories of that?
So I made the decision really, really late to go play for the Irons because I wanted to come out to the US and I knew I needed a bigger team behind me. I'd come up through the youth systems or the academy systems back when it wasn't technically competitive. It was just friendlies and scrimmages.
Yeah.
So once I got into that sort of dynamic and was playing, I actually reached out to them just because I was trying to go to the US. I couldn't really join technically like Arsenal and things because of them going into like that pro system. And they were like, look, you've not played for them for years. So it's going to look like you're being paid to the NCAA. So I was like, okay, well, really, like I broke it down of, okay, who's a big enough club that I'm not going to get that question.
Yeah.
So I went with, so I reached out to West Ham and they actually had already done all their tryouts. So I don't know where the swag came from, but I told the chairman, I was like, you give me a practice, give me one practice and I'll earn my spot. And I can't even believe to say that I was arrogant enough to tell the chairman of the club that. And
how old were you, Jade, when you said that?
I was they called me the baby when I made it into the first team. So I think the next I think
16,
I was
17?
19, 20, which is pretty young still. I think the next youngest player was 26 and everyone was basically in their 30s. So I was really a baby. So yeah, I think I was 19, 20 and I remember I had one practice and I was with the reserves And something I was really good at was crossing the ball. And we actually had a crossing session. And it was something I was really good at. I could put a ball on the dime or wherever it went. And Andy always told me Julian Dix was the head coach for the women's team. And he's actually a former professional West Ham player. And he played a little bit with the national team in England. So Julian's known as the hard man, the hard guy. And Andy went up to him after the first practice, went, I'm signing. He went, you haven't even seen a play yet. He went, I've never seen someone cross a ball on the dime where I need him to do it. So I did one game that weekend because they can't actually announce who you are. So you go as trialist. So I'll never forget that. And I scored a hat trick on my debut with the reserves, and I was signed right after that.
What are you gonna do?
And then just work my way up. Just put it makes me think of the Aurora 2 team, really, of like you put your head down, you work, and you try and earn that opportunity to make it into the first team. So that's what like the Aurora 2 means to me is you've got that opportunity, hopefully, to make that jump into the first group, and it keeps you hungry. But yeah, I remember my first game, him going and like he calls everyone by his last name, like Smith, go warm up, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Don't mess up. I just remember being really nervous, but like our captain, Stacey Little, like those guys were phenomenal people and players.
Did you, when you were playing with Stacey Little?
I was playing with Stacey Little.
Jesus. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I love, because the men's team are called the Hammers and the women's team were called the Irons.
Yep. Oh, well, yeah, I think we go by both, but
yeah, I get it.
Stacey's a very well-known West Ham supporter. And I think the best player we had one time was Kate. What's Kate? Is it Long something? She played at Liverpool, and then she actually transferred over to West Ham once I was in the thing, and she was probably one of the best players I played with ever. And I would just try and go up against her in practice, and I had no business even being on the field with that player of that caliber. And it was just fun because I was able to push myself. But back in the heyday, I learned a lot from them. I'll never forget my first practice with the first team. Just got put on my backside, and
I'm sure that if I were on the team, I would have hammered you. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I'll never forget the first activity was a keep ball inside the center circle. You have everyone on the outside. It's a 1v1 battle. 1 minute straight, you've got to keep possession of the ball. Players on the outside, I got one touch. I didn't touch the ball once.
Yeah.
And say that the player I was going up against was a former Arsenal player. She was fantastic, and she just made me look like a little kid. And I was like, "Oh man, I got a long way to go. This is gonna be a rough practice."
Matt, are you able to get a sense for things? It seems like it's a lot of back and forth. Aurora's had a few moments. They created a couple corners. The one corner was close.
Yeah, honestly, I think the run of play is about as good as we've seen in the UPSL. I think, to be honest with you, there's a little more combination than maybe the average game, which is nice and impressive. I think it's pretty likely that Vlora must train quite a bit. Typically what we've seen in other summer leagues, part of the gap between Aurora 1, for instance, and other W League teams, and even WPSL teams, is summer league teams don't frequently train that much. I think the amount of connectivity we're seeing from Vlora means they probably do train more than the 2 or 3 days a week, or at least it's credit to the coaching. They're well prepared.
I was going to say their core, I asked Katie about this because like it's not like, and Aurora 2 is local too, but like Vlora, a lot of the players came up playing for the club. So that was a club they played their other games for right in the winter. So but the crew that does play UPSL tries to train at least twice a week through the year. So very different, crazy. Only clubs that have like the whole built up chemistry have that, but even most of them don't do winter actual training. It's just they have maybe some casual stuff. So you can notice that.
And to be honest with you, the weather is now absolutely beautiful. It's like upper 60s and clear skies. And so more folks have been showing up. There's actually more fans here now. So really good energy. This is what you hope for a summer league match. I'll take my phone and flip it around too, but it's, I mean, good energy, really solid soccer, tons of local players getting the chance to be showcased, a quality stream, which obviously we are endlessly talking about, but just really cool. I wouldn't be surprised if we get at least a couple of goals in this one, because we're still pretty early on, and Aurora has had some good chances. I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to put one on sometime in this half.
Yeah, for this stream, this is nice because I know Jade watches some stuff like this and worse to scout. Although certain college stuff is nicer, but they're zooming, it's close in. Like watching some other streams in the summer, it can get a little tough. It's very difficult to notice. Like in one game, like Aurora had to switch jerseys at halftime. I'm not telling tales out of school. We watched the game because one team had white, they kind of had similar color, and because the stream was also bad, we were all watching like, we can't, this is really tough. So no, this looks really good. We're gonna and yeah, by the way, we're gonna send Matt out in the same, we're gonna get like late night TV style, like in the stands type stuff. We're gonna see what Matt can do out there. But I wanted to ask you, Jade, we had a lot of fun following the team, St. Cloud State winning the NSIC. It was fun during the season, and then being there for the tournament. I'll never forget calling the tournament because I had impacted wisdom teeth, and so it's a very memorable time for me for both reasons, and I will always remember it biologically, I think. What is your prediction for next year? It's so competitive in the Northern Sun. For people who are tuning in because they kind of watch Aurora stuff or Vlora or Summer League, we do a lot of D2 college stuff in the fall for the Northern Sun. Jade's team at St. Cloud State is one of the fun teams to follow. First of all, what's your prediction for where you'll finish next year?
Thanks for that. The NSIC, you've got that traditional whoever knows. Like, I think you guys wrote an article about you never know what's going to happen in the NSIC. I mean, you've seen anyone that's been watching it truly closely with an unbiased eye, the gap has severely closed. I think for years, obviously I've been in the conference 10 years now. So even in my 10-year tenure of it used to be, I think, very clearly defined of who was the top half. And even in the top half, there was those 3 or 4 teams. Now, it doesn't matter really who's playing who. It truly is every game is up for grabs, which makes it so exciting. That's why I love coaching in it. You just don't, every game is a winnable and losable game. I mean, we're really lucky. We return basically everyone that played, all of our goal scorers, which is exciting. It was such a young team really on the field last year. It was a lot of freshmen, sophomores, some juniors, and the odd senior sprinkled in. So for me, like going into last year, honestly, it was like, how are we going to do? It's a youthful team. How are they going to handle working together? It's almost a brand new group with obviously COVID seniors, like big shifts in the roster because of that. And it was really exciting to just see a young group of energized kids not caring about preseason rankings. I joke with Matt all the time, like, you guys wrote the you're saying there's a chance, and they took it a little personally. I thought it was quite funny.
I thought I tried to spin it positive with this.
They were like, you're saying there's a chance, and I was like,
I was going to ask if you use. I am so flattered you use that as bulletin board material. Gosh, I've made it big time, Jade. Thank you so much.
I loved when Jade told me that. When I can't rember when I was talking.
You didn't tell me that.
The players, I forgot the players were like insulted that you ranked them low. I was like, I love.
I put them in the middle, baby.
Yeah.
I love that the players have that fire in their belly to be like, this guy's not rating us high enough. I love that so much.
To the people who watch, look how harsh I am. I don't play any favorites. So harsh. But no, so I for the record, and I think even to be fair, I think, Jade, you would have done some grouping like this as well, but I just did a group called the Contenders. That was BSU, Minnesota State, Mankato, and Concordia. I said the middle tier is, so you're saying there's a chance. It's a Dumb and Dumber quote, but it's a much better chance than Dumb and Dumber. It's Winona, UMD, and St. Cloud State. St. Cloud State being and Winona from the year before being the best. And then the ones I picked as underdogs are Crookston, Moorhead, and Southwest Minnesota State. So I think, look, I'm not. I just look at the standings, baby.
And then you got the preseason poll that the coaches vote on, and people overanalyze that too much. I think most of the veterans and the coaches in the conference just honestly put who won. Like they go off of the years.
Because what? How much? Yeah. Why? How much time do you need to spend on?
To Mark's point too, if folks are watching this and they mostly are like an Aurora fan or a random fan and don't track NSIC. To put an even finer point on it, to what Jade spoke to, essentially when I first started following in any way the NSIC, basically the conversation at that time, a half decade ago plus, was like Augie and Mankato were the powers, and then they were a clear 1 and 2, kind of the same way if people follow the Summit League, kind of like a South Dakota State Denver thing where it's like those two are always at the top and then you have to dethrone them. And then Mark and I, our era covering the conference was sort of the Bemidji up and coming era, the era where Bemidji went from a middle of the pack to then also being in the upper tier. And then now we've also got to see the era where UL at St. Cloud make that jump. And that's why the conference now is so
and
chaotic.
CSP. I give CSP Steve credit.
Because
2019,
because you still have Concordia, you still have Duluth, you have teams that can always take a game. I mean, and that is what makes it such a fun conference to follow. Also, if you're a Minnesotan, there is an NSIC program close to you. There just is. Like in Marshall, Minnesota, Winona, Mankato, St. Cloud, Moorhead, Crookston, Duluth, Bemidji, St. Paul. Like
Walker, where we're from, Walker is probably the furthest from any D2 school where we grew up.
No one in the state lives farther than like 90 minutes from an NSIC program. Like nobody.
Yeah. So no, we love covering it. Jade, your team was awesome, and gosh, I mean, players, you're welcome for that motivation. I get to get credit for the title. I mean, there's been no bigger relevance to me. I mean, oh wow, I'm gonna go hot now this year. It's tough to not go hot now.
The conference is all about momentum. I've said it since I was a player. If you can just get that momentum, like UMary, for example, like they got like a pretty tough schedule at the beginning, and also they went on a tear at the end of the season. It just takes 2 weekends of going hot, and you can ride it. But again, every game's a battle, and you can't overlook anyone. And that's what's exciting. I think across the conference, there's a lot of good young returners. There's always great talent being added into the conference. So I'm super excited just to see how that shapes up. And any team you see in the beginning of the season, they're going to get better over the season. There's good coaches, good players. So you just don't know. Like someone can start really strong and fade. Some can start strong and keep going, or some just climb. And I think sometimes it's a little bit how the chips fall of how your schedule's set up. So we have a pretty similar schedule to last year, and then it will majorly shift in 25 when Jamestown enters the conference. So that will take a major shift, and the usual pairings that you've seen for decades will completely shift and change. So excited for that. But like Greta says, you can only focus on the season ahead. And we talked a lot about that spring season. There was a lot of terms thrown out, defending champions. And I really love that the youngsters sort of took that away and were like, look, that doesn't matter anymore. That season's done. And everyone's going to come in fighting for the new season. I think what we just help show is anyone can win the league. It doesn't matter who you are. Like, you've got a good enough team. It's up for grabs. It's no longer that dominating powerhouse or powerhouses, but they're still always going to be up there. But CSP had an absolute run in 2019, and then COVID happens. That was a phenomenal CSP team. So there's tons of teams that have won the conference when you look at it historically, Winona, Duluth. But that's why I love the conference. It's a good fun, and I'm excited. It's fun for the girls to go home, see their families, or get away. But I'm missing them. I'm excited for them to be back in August.
Yeah, soon enough. You guys get, you get most of your non-conference, you get at home. You're doing playing Carleton and St. Ben's, local teams. You got the Michigan squads visiting. I have, only 7 weeks to figure out how I motivate this team for another title. It's a lot of, now I'm feeling a burden, Jade, but I like it. It's a good burden. I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you so much, Jade. We're going to keep watching. We're going to chat a little. Matt's going to see what he can get in the stadium. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
All right. We'll see you very soon.
See ya.
Bye, Jade. Jade, yeah. It is funny I could only pull up one. There's nothing else of West Ham and Jade Smith, but one article about their debut. It's just a random game, and it's from the West Ham ladies website. Anyway. Love it.
I love of all the silly sort of separate nickname stuff that happens in sports, to be the hammers and the irons is about as close as it gets to me. I love it. It's
interesting though, because it's in London. Yeah, I guess at the time when they started, mines were closer into London, because now I bet it has to be just like deluxe. It's in there's no way, but anyway.
Well, or were they like a literal,
or they were an iron town. Yeah, they don't have to have mines.
ironworking,
Maybe.
yeah.
Look, we can go on Wikipedia. We don't have to go through all this, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
as
Jade tells us, all the football
sorry.
teams in England are named after their factories.
There's the ironworks team. Gosh, I mean, look, I could have gone on Wikipedia. Sorry. Matt, some random. Do you wanna try and go out and chat with some players, or see if you want to loop in players, or want to wait till the second half or later?
I could try and get. We have a ton of Aurora 1 players down here. I could try and get a crew.
You can go and I can give a little update just on the UPSL standings and where it stands if you want to. Or yeah.
Okay, I'll just mute myself as I yell
just
at
leave
them.
it. Cool. So for people, I'll give people the rundown. UPSL Midwest West. A lot of the people watching obviously care about this, so they probably know. But it was the first year last year, 6 teams. There's 12 now. So a big expansion. A lot of it's in the metro. We have Superior City and Superior. But for the standings, Vlora here actually, well, I could add it. What do you see in Matt? Neat. But Vlora's up top, Minnesota Aurora, NOSC, which by the way stands for No Ordinary Soccer Club, so kudos for an original name. Northern Tide FC Women, Tonka Fusion 2, Twin Stars, Superior City, St. Croix Soccer Club, St. Paul Blackhawks, Granite City Women, then Tonka Fusion 1, and then Skills FC. So a wrinkle people may notice. One thing I noted we could talk about at some time with the UPSL Midwest West. Tonka Fusion has 2 teams. The second team so far looking like the first team. It's an interesting thing. The Tonka Fusion Elite 2 is 2-1-1, or 1-1-1. I think the website is a little hard to read, to be honest. Yeah, no, they are 2-1-1. Tonka Fusion Elite 2, and Tonka Fusion Elite 1 is 0-3. Matt, who do we got?
Well, we're 2 out of 3 right now. I'm not going to count the wraps until they're all in here. Rami's on her way.
Let's see where
Cool.
she is. She's on her way. Yeah.
There we go. I love it.
Just making her way.
You guys, have you watched Aurora 2 so far, or is the schedule? Can you see me?
Yeah.
How you doing, guys?
That's so cool. Hi.
For viewers, yeah, we're trying to do a little watch along. For the viewers, don't get too excited, but we got all 3 wraps on here.
What's up, everybody?
Hey guys, have you guys watched the 2s yet, or have you been like too busy with your other schedule?
This is our first game. This is the first game we've been home for. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Eli, how are you feeling? How close are you to getting back into the mix? We see you doing a lot of work and working on the sidelines.
I'm doing great. Yeah, killing it. Still not sure when I'll be back. You know, the doctor's orders saying not yet. So hoping in the next few weeks. I would love for that to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure you're antsy. Just so you guys know too, what I'm watching on my screen is 40 seconds before. Feel free to react and give your reaction to a goal if it happens, and then I can catch up when I actually have the stream.
Okay, will do.
Yeah. So something I've been dying to ask you guys. Matt and I as twins, we get asked about. There's really only like 4 questions anyone ever asks us. Do you guys have a list like that? Because so I'll tell you the ones they ask us. So someone asked me this today. Do you like being a twin?
We get that.
That's all the time. You're like, and my answer at this point as an adult is, how would I know any different? It's all I know.
Yeah.
They ask if you can read minds. That's less. That's more when you're kids. If you can like know when they're doing something. They ask, what else do they ask, Matt? The other 2. They ask,
who's the oldest?
Who's the oldest? Which I really
I've
don't care about. And and I'm the youngest, so I guess they get what they want because I get mad. I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're fucking twins. Sorry for that.
Yeah, who's the oldest is easily the most frequent I get. Even other twins ask me that. I think Lily French asked me that.
Oh,
yeah.
And I was like, wait, you're not allowed to care about this. We can't care about this.
I'm like, we're the same day. It doesn't really matter.
So aside from those, what are you guys might get different ones being triplets? What are the other most annoying things? Because I would ask you probably if I do an interview. So
I feel like people ask about, does Rami feel left out all the time? Does she feel different? You know, because she's not identical like Catherine and I are. So
no, she gets to be an individual. She gets to be an individual. Good job, Rami.
Yes.
Lucky you.
I like it. We don't leave her out. So when people ask us that, we're like, of course she doesn't feel
That's funny.
Yeah, and then I mean, this isn't a frequent one, but when we were younger, people would be like, "Oh, how do you tell each other apart?" I'm like, "Well, we've been together since birth, so I would hope."
Yeah, yeah. So we have a thing where if we look at family pictures of Matt and I when we're little, my mom is best after Matt and I of telling us apart as babies, but then it gets worse. And my sister's like, our sisters will say, "How do you know that's you?" And you're like, "Look, that's a different question. I don't know how I know who I am, but I can look at it and tell who's me in the
No, I
picture."
will say I can't tell Elizabeth and I apart in photos when we're babies. Like we
Okay.
were looking at photos like before we came here, like a month before, and I was looking at them and I was like, "Is that me?" And then my mom was like, "That's Elizabeth."
I don't know.
I can't tell.
I think it's easy because I was much bigger than Kat and Remy when I was born, so I think it's pretty easy.
I feel like we look the exact same. So I get people's struggles.
Oh, that's funny. Oh my gosh. How much do you guys enjoy the times that you've played together versus playing apart? Like what I'm sure you've gotten different things out of those experiences.
I love playing together way more than playing apart.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's so sweet. It is kind of nice though, getting to play on your own, figure yourself out as like an individual player, and then get to come back each summer and see each other and get to play for a little while. You just savor the moment a little bit more because of that.
How much do the new players do you think? I mean, and yeah, it maybe is worse for Kat and Eli, but honestly, it wouldn't matter either for all three of you. How many of the new players do you think still can't tell you apart? Because that's fair, even maybe.
I feel like most everybody can tell us apart.
Do you wear a lot of stuff with your name or initials on it? No.
Yeah. And Elizabeth, obviously, like when we practice, she normally has a penny on.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, I guess when we're just walking around, like Elizabeth's just a lot bigger than me. So like even when we're wearing normal clothes and we see people, like I feel like as we've gotten older, we just look so much different from each other. So that I don't think people have that hard of a time.
I love it. Yeah. The internal. Oh, here. See, I'm seeing it late from you, so I'm seeing Aurora make a move into the box. I'm trying to help the viewers who are watching this too. They're all getting it anyway. No, how much? You guys are here for year 3. Like you keep coming back. I mean, like, do you even? Is it a case that you're even thinking or like hearing other opportunities or thinking about other ways to spend your summer, or were you just like automatic? Like, if we want to come back and be at Aurora.
Oh, I saw it. There was just a good little play.
All right, cool. I'll catch it in 30 seconds.
Honestly, I don't even think it was a question. The season ended, and we were basically like, we're coming back. We love it up here. I love Minneapolis. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What are you liking most about, or what are you finding, unique about? Oh, you're new. Oh, I'm seeing the play you subbed. By the way, good run through. That was very close. We'll get a replay of that. What are you guys finding about the new coaching staff? Because that's a whole new thing. And I really thought Colette has been really fun to talk to. She has a lot of personality. She's kind of fun, but obviously, like, she has a plan and knows what she's talking about. What are your favorite kind of things about maybe her or just any of the other coaches? Because I haven't met a lot of the new first team coaches.
I think Colette is hilarious.
Yeah.
She is so funny. I don't know, like people would think that, but she is so funny. And she's actually one of the funniest coaches I've ever had. And she just makes practices really fun with that.
I like the dynamic between all the coaches. Obviously, before with Nicole and everybody, it was like a full like women's staff. But I kind of like the dynamic of the coaches, and like one coach will lead something, and then the other coaches will lead other things. So it's not just one person; everybody's involved with like the practices and games, which I enjoy.
What you, Eli?
Well, I'm liking them a lot, of course. I don't spend actually as much time with Colette and Tom and all of them. I'm more on the side still.
Yeah.
With Carrie, which she's more of like a volunteer assistant coach and just doing my touches on the side. But every time I am able to join in a little bit, I have a great time. They try to involve me as much as I can, which I really appreciate. So, I mean, loving it, loving them. It's been great.
How much do you guys, I said you're in your 3rd year with Aurora, obviously, and, taking on more and more prominent roles each year. There's so many more pro teams. We get really excited talking about new pro opportunities for women because even just in the Minnesota focus, we have so many players who go to so-called like fringer leagues in Europe, and they might be happy to come have opportunities in the US, and there's not enough spots in NWSL. How much does that become more real for you guys as you like get more prominent through your college career and you have this Aurora experience? How much more like tangible or like, you know, more do you look to the future and think of those possibilities now?
I actually haven't really thought about it like that much. Obviously, I still have 2 more years. Elizabeth is gonna have a 5th year if she wants. So I don't know. I just think I'm more focused on college right now and coming here. But I guess like next year, like after next year, I will probably start thinking about more. I mean, obviously, it'd be amazing to go play overseas if the opportunity presented itself later. But right now, I'm kind of just focused on what's going on right now.
Well, I also think using Aurora is a great platform and way to help players get to that sort of.
I got something coming.
Soon, Mark. There's we won't spoil it, but
I love it. I kind of
game event occurred.
Yes.
I deal with this at the bar all the time when I'm watching streams. Is like they'll be 10 seconds ahead or behind. I'd rather hear the noise and know to watch for. Oh, gunky. That was. I can tell you that was Fortunate for Vlora. There's kind of a gunky free kick in. The ball didn't get cleared, and it just. I don't even know if they really shot it, but they got the ball in. Yeah.
Like just slipped through a little. Yeah, somehow.
Deflection.
Kind of unlucky.
It bounced kind of early and then just kind of slipped at an awkward angle. Yeah, and kind of I think just split some defenders. But yeah, Well, one thing I wanted to ask you guys too. People must ask you this. I was thinking the other thing people ask me, which in the context, if you know Matt and I, is funny now. Just if we're competitive with each other.
38 minutes.
And so I always say, no, we're not. That's not a thing for Matt and I. And if you know us, you would know it's like, yeah, we live different lives. But for you guys, I wonder, like, do people ask you that? How is it you're playing the same sport? You all want to achieve stuff. Like, is that something you think about? Or is it kind of, you have the dynamic you're used to for so long now playing together?
Can Mark repeat it one more time? The crowd is kind of loud.
Hear it? Oh, I just wanted to ask, the other thing people would ask Matt and I is if we're competitive with each other. And you guys all play different positions, so it's also slightly different roles. So maybe that's nice. I think Matt and I tried to find that with things too. But how has that been for you guys? And do people ask you that a lot? Like if you're competitive of who scores more goals or who like plays more or anything?
I think even though we're in different positions, we still want to be the best in the RAP family and just the best players we can be. So I definitely think competition has driven us to where we're at. It's funny you mentioned that because I was just looking at something with like the U.S. women's national team, and apparently there's like 4 or 5 twins on the team. They were saying how they think things like that have helped them get to the U.S. women's national team. And I think having a sibling or 2, especially that are same age, all you want to do is beat them or be better than them, so it can drive you. So definitely, I'd say competition is a big part of our dynamic.
Well, yeah, I agree. I don't think I'd be happy after I am without them. I mean, it's just those days when you just want to lay in bed and you don't want to get up, and then your sister like, "Where are you going?" They're going to the field to practice. You're like, "Well, I should go too." And then you go, and then you get better, and then eventually you get better.
So Mark, the reason it didn't work out for us is because neither of us was the get out and work hard person to challenge.
Well, people, look, this is.
Help Remy get out of bed.
Well, no, this.
I hope you get out of bed too.
This is why we're not competitive in life, because Matt is a get up and try person in life, and I'm not. In soccer, when we were kids, there was more of like, you of course, like, well, we should be the same. Like, I shouldn't be worse than him. I have the same, like, I should be at least as good. So, no, I do remember it. We played slightly different roles in soccer. Neither of us were very good at anything else, so it didn't matter. But no, it is fun. I'm glad we got to chat with you guys a little bit. Thank you guys for joining so much. I look forward to getting some more time with you, but glad you're getting to soak in Aurora too and showing support.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'll
have to do it again for the next A2 game.
Yeah.
Game, yeah.
All right, we're here. We're here.
If you guys are coming back, I'll literally have mics ready for you.
Oh yeah,
We'll be ready.
excited then. We'll come prepared.
We'll get it going, man. Big fans of the full wrap, equal time. We got full wrap for the first time on here. We'll get them again soon in a bigger style.
We love talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Later.
That's awesome. You can hit it.
This is pretty
That was great.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Amazing. It's nice because I felt if I wasn't a twin, I would feel weirder about asking those triplet questions, but I was just trying to connect a little bit on that.
I think we have credibility enough to ask those questions for sure.
It happens a lot, yeah. I like how they're like, well, Eli's just so much bigger, and I'm like, dude. Well, like how Matt's like half an inch maybe taller than me, maybe a quarter of an inch, and it's like, yeah, he's taller. I'm like, I mean, I just slouch, but I was like, we're the same height. Like, it's funny, very funny. Yeah, this time.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
I love that they. It's so funny when Rami said they love playing together so much, because I have always wondered. I'm like, how do they not just play at the same college? So for those who don't know, Rami's over at Coastal Carolina, and then Eli and Kat now are down in Florida together. But the three of them have never been together in college, which I've always just daydreamed about. Imagine all three of them on a team together. But, college athletics is its own thing. You can't.
Everyone has to have a spot, to play.
Yeah.
It's, But no, I mean, it's cool. I mean, that's good. It's cool they have gone, because someone was originally at Arkansas, or two were, and then Oklahoma.
No, Oklahoma. And then now they're both down at, I believe, FIU. It could be Florida Atlantic. I mix up all the Florida schools.
It's hard.
And then Rami's at Coastal Carolina.
They're for Equal Time fans, they're one of the teams we, of course, thought like, oh, it'd be fun to watch and get like the wraps for like the Aurora content. There's just too many streamers, and they're in one of the conferences where we have to pay for a separate stream, and it's too many over the course of the whole summer or fall. So, yeah. But no, couple minutes left. Gosh, that was I mean, I'm sure they're going to break down a couple ways the play broke down on that goal in tape, because it was just like, it was gunky. It was summer league. Right now, I'm watching a corner kick you already watched. Tough to say I know it's not a goal because I didn't hear a goal cheer before this from the live.
Yeah, I mean, just a tough one, but also the type of thing where like you have to shoot your shot on those free kicks, those set pieces, and they sort of put it toward frame, and Mac Rath happened to be looking left and it happened to bounce the other way. Ooh, some yellow cards. I actually think Molly Knobloch maybe has 2 yellows now. Must just be 1 because she's not leaving.
Vlora's, by the way.
I think.
What's up?
Oh, sorry, I'm ahead of you. I'm breaking news there. I do believe Molly's been sent off.
I just watched the play.
That's tough.
It's a yellow. It's a yellow.
And she was sitting on a yellow. So that's a tough one. You could see that called the other way too. But that's a big one for the game.
I can rewind it for us. I can rewind it.
There you go.
So we can watch it again. Jesus, look at us go. I think, yeah. Didn't it? It's coming up, I think, just clear here. She goes through her. It's
tough.
That's tough. It's not a dirty. It's definitely not intent. Yeah, that. Honestly, it's harsh if the ref knew at the time. Well, I guess they did, but yeah, I don't know. That's pretty harsh. But that's gonna make it.
Ooh, there's been. I can't keep reacting to the game as I see it. There's been a lot of fouls like that. We're about to see another one on the game stream.
Yeah.
It's gone both ways. We've seen both Vlora and Aurora 2 whistled for that. Maybe Vlora feels like they sort of need to bring some scrap because they've just, they don't get as much shine as Aurora. But honestly, I think we kind of mentioned this earlier. Vlora is one of the clubs that really has invested in doing things the right way. They have streams. They have a lot of social content. Their rosters are posted. Their starters are posted. I know a lot of what I'm saying feels really base level, but it's a lot of work for these clubs to put it in. And we know that because a lot of clubs don't do it. And so we do want to shout out teams that put in this level of work because Katie, everyone else at Vlora, I mean, we aren't saying this for no reason. Like, it does matter. It means we can cover the game. Even the stream existing is why we can do this.
Yeah.
Every team that does this, it matters. The same way Mark and I like to hear that people appreciate our coverage, we really appreciate when colleges, programs, clubs like help make the team coverable. It matters because it's the only way fans will ever hear about your players. And so it's awesome. And shout out to everyone who does it.
Yeah, UPSL is taking a big step up this summer for people wanting to follow. It's nice it's just on YouTube in terms of like just that you have the app on your phone. It's like pull it up. It's easy. And most of the teams are presenting, and it's nice because on YouTube they all can be replayed as well, or at least most of the teams it seems such. Versus some of the other streamers like Huddle and Sports Engine, not always the case. Like teams I think have to go a bit above and beyond or like make sure that happens. So anyway, for people like us who like to check stuff out and kind of like repost in, it's really nice. So UPSL seemingly raising some standards. One of the other things I know, like Katie Brink said about Vlora is like, and the league wanting to mandate it for everyone. I don't know how much people are doing it, but like mandating having like videos on the everything like that. Looks like the game just winding down on the stream here. So by the way, we'll take a little break. We'll leave just the game stream up for halftime.
Yep.
I think we got plenty of people watching. What's wrong with you guys? Thank you for joining. I love it.
And a reminder, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, if you comment, it'll show up for us right here. Like Brian Decker gave us a confirmation about the Rap Sisters. And if you're on Twitter, I don't know, Mark, if you have Twitter up, but they could message you, I guess. But otherwise, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and comment, we'll throw crap at us. We'll respond.
DM, yeah, you could DM Equal Time Twitter. If you have my phone number, you could text me. But DM Equal Time Twitter and I'll look at it. And I think the Facebook stuff just shows up in StreamYard. We'll see. But yeah, shout out. I have no idea how many people watch on Facebook. I can, yeah. So
I'll go hunt down our second half guest. There's a lot of options.
Yeah. Well, all right. We're gonna pop out so we can take a little break. We'll be back in a little bit. See you in the second half.
All right.
What's up, y'all? We're back. Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on. Let's get this for Colette.
That's sad how far down you have to move that.
You can come over a little bit. You can there you go. Mark will drive the train for you. I'll only ask questions if it gets weird.
Colette, you had first home game, right? That for your team, the Aurora 1 squad. Talk about your feelings. I know you could anticipate it and you'd been there for training. What did you feel like walking out? Talk about your memories from the game.
Oh, what an amazing experience, you know. Thankful that we were able to arrive at the stadium around 4 o'clock. So just being out there with the coaching staff, just sitting, taking it in before everybody started to arrive, and then 90 minutes as the gates start to open, just see and hear people trickle in. What a great environment. And I just again want to shout out our game day team, everybody behind the scenes. It's an amazing professional organization. I think I can understand why a lot of people think we're professional.
Yeah.
We're still a pre-professional club, so it's amazing experience. The fans were electric, really, really good.
It must be. I can't imagine the specific feeling of it, because I mean, even if you're in big stadiums and whatever, it's like that's a very big environment, and it's all kind of for you and your squad. So very cool. Talk about your impressions of the W League so far, because one thing that was happening more last year, we'll see if it happens this year, but we're like really outlandish scores at times. It's looking tougher. It's looking like there's a lot of balance. And just like River Lights is looking competitive. Talk about your early impressions and just kind of how it what your impressions of your opponents and the challenge of needing to finish in a playoff spot now.
Yeah, no, I think having done the road trips now to Chicago and played the 3 Chicago teams, definitely competition is increasing, which is good, right? That the last couple of years we've been fortunate to be the division champions, and I think now to have opponents that are going to push us even more to be ready for those playoffs, and we want to compete along the way. And having 2 ties on the road is set up now for, we know what we need to do at home in these next couple of games, and obviously we'll start that bid tomorrow night against Rochester, and then getting at River Light on Saturday. So some must-win games, and excited to do that in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I noticed this at the bar. Now that it's actually summer, like the Thursday night game will be even more busy, I'm sure. And then the Saturday, I mean, it should be an absolute great weekend for Aurora fans. Talk about yourself as the coach. We interviewed you, I mean, before the season, but I mean, how much are you kind of realizing things about your coaching, learning from being around your new coaching staff, taking from your new players? Like, how much have you gotten out of the early part of this?
Yeah, I mean, I love coaching, and part of why I love it is the kind of the holistic development. Just believe that we've got the right people within the coaching team, really enjoying working with them on a day-to-day basis. We've known each other for a long time, but not necessarily been in a same coaching team together in this type of an environment. So I'm really enjoying that. We're leaning on each other's strengths, and it's definitely a team effort. And then, just really enjoying the squad that we've got. Not only are they phenomenal soccer players, they're just incredible human beings. And so
yeah, I'm just trying to get to know each of them. Just get to know their personalities, what makes them tick. Lots of one-on-one conversations at various points, whether over text or quick chat pre-practice, after practice, pre-game. But yeah, just doing a lot of work to make sure that we're utilizing everybody's strengths and that everybody really feels like they belong and have a part to play.
Right on. And for watchers on the stream, it just kicked off a little bit ago, so we're watching. If there's a goal, we hear it ahead of time. That's just what it is. This is what live streaming is all about. But Colette, I did want to ask you, with your role too, being sporting director, Aurora adding this Aurora 2 team, this is why we're trying to shed light. It's nice for us because it's close in St. Paul, so it's close to us. So selfishly, it's easier for us to follow the team. For you, there's so much for you to take on. How much are you able to connect with the Aurora 2 squad? How do you do that day to day and like stay up to date and knowing that, like maybe there's a time you might need to pull one of these players up, later in the season. So how do you stay engaged with Mandy and the Aurora 2 situation?
Yeah, well, first of all, head coach Mandy is doing a phenomenal job along with Coach Sarah, Coach Morgan, and Coach Luca. Again, another great coaching team that Mandy's put together as far as the A2 squad goes. We spent a lot of time together during tryouts and then obviously in the transition with Nicole leaving and all of that. So, we fully trust Mandy and the work that she's doing. We stay in touch, via text and day to day. Probably last week was the first week that I've not been on site at the A2 practices either, just with the load of being on the road trip. But I've tried to be present, again, stay boots on the ground, be in touch as much as possible. I've led organizations, coaching staffs of 50 plus, 900, in a club before. So to be fair, 2 teams of 26 is not a big number for me. I really do a lot of work behind the scenes on checking in, making sure everybody is connected, and there's definitely that pathway from A2 into A1 and what we're looking at. I'm sure that we'll see some opportunities arise towards the end of the season even. But really, really happy with the way that A2 is working hard every day in training, and it's the difference maker for them that they're on the field 5-6 times a week.
Yeah.
Which makes it more than a summer team, and that commitment is really important.
Yeah. But now, sorry, the credit to the fans. I'm hearing the Revant Gillette noise a little bit. I asked. Good for them. I love it. These are my dorks. These are the people I serve at the bar.
Rory's down there. She's got them going. It's fantastic. Rory's
I love this.
A great job tonight. So
I love this. Yeah, Rory was dancing when I was there at the first game. I wanted to ask you because I asked Jade, and we have this. One of the best coaches in the world, Emma Smith, coaching the U.S. now, and so I was at the Blackheart for the pregame. I got to be with the drummers a bit. Shout out to the drummers from Thunderwall who let me hang out to get a little bit of equal time content. I know also were you at the game yesterday because there was a bunch of Aurora players and people there. Yeah,
I was. Actually, I was at the completely opposite side to where you were. I saw you in the crowd with some footage. I was soaking wet when I got home. I was at least 50 pounds heavier last night. Struggled to take my jeans off and get in the shower for about 45 minutes to warm up. But no, really, really excited that Emma Hayes has taken the lead for the US national team program. Yeah. I love what she said in the media the other day about her role being a heart surgeon and all the preparation that she needs to undergo now in this time period to get the team ready for heart surgery in the future. Really making an impact on that program. So it's exciting times, and I can see that the players are really bought into having her coming and lead them, and that makes a massive impact for any coach when you've got the buy-in of the players.
Mm-hmm. I could see some relation to, when coaches first come in, the conversations are kind of, you could predict them. You went through this with us interviewing you because there's nothing to go off. So we're asking you these questions of like, how do you expect to build the team? All these things that are so like kind of general. And I thought she was getting a lot of those because some people don't know a lot about her, and she's early to the squad. And I watched her press conferences, and I thought she handled it very genuinely because you can only give so much real answer when it's like, I've been here 2 weeks, and like she's been watching the team, of course. But I thought I really appreciated that in her. She was very genuine about what she could share, what she didn't. I think she have a little son on the field after the game too. I think I saw that was adorable. But yeah, I think she has a son. Maybe he's like 6 or 7. I don't know. Yeah, but
Harry. Yeah, you're gonna get the honest truth from Emma. She doesn't beat around the bush, right? She gets right to it.
Yeah.
I'm sure the media will really love working with her.
Yeah.
And they'll definitely get some really good sound bites for sure.
They asked her things like they're like, wow, talk about the challenge, because building an Olympic roster is as tough as it is because it's 18 players and like it's really doesn't make sense that they have to do that for the Olympics. And so a fair question, but she was like, look, I there's lots of things in life are tough. Picking the team for the U.S. women for the Olympics, like that's not that tough. Like it's a great thing I get to do, and I'm just like watching the play. And so it was a very nice. She really cut through it. But yeah, I love it. How much do you like when you're so busy? You're going to be so busy in the summer. I forget if I asked you this. Like, do you even care about like the men's Euros, like in England and the men's Euros? Do you even care about watching the men's like England team in the Euros? Like, is that something that you even have time for? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I mean, I try to watch as much, soccer, football as I can. I think my friends are like, seriously, doesn't this like a job for you? So I do. But it is and it isn't, right? When you find your passion, you get paid for it, and we call that a massive success in life. But yeah, I'll be following as much of that during the summer, obviously, with Copa America and Olympics and European Championship. It's all great to watch, and try to stay up in it as much as I can. But I value my sleep too. So
the Euros are good because it's going to be like 8 a.m., 11 a.m., 2 p.m., but you have training. When you watch the game, like we're at a hotel and I'm watching it the night before, like there's NWSL on, can you actually enjoy it just as watching the game, or like are you just in coach's mind?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is the difference when people ask me if I watch American football. I'm like, it's nice to watch a sport that I really don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it looks great. I'm like, oh, that looks like, oh no, that's not good. Okay. So I love the athleticism of it and the things that those players are able to do at the speed at which they do it, but it is nice to watch some sports where you're not constantly analysing what went on. But most games are enjoyable when you meet the players, or at the level of what the game presents. And most of the time you're analysing things of like, well, I wouldn't have done that.
So after soccer or like traditional football, is American football what's your next sport you want to watch? Like, what is it? American football? What do you watch most? What do you like most aside from soccer?
I really like tennis.
Yeah.
I grew up with Wimbledon, so every summer I became a tennis player for about 3 weeks while Wimbledon was on. We used to get the orange juice and bananas out and sit out there with friends and family members and pretend that we were professional tennis players.
Yeah.
But I love the psychology of tennis. I just love seeing the being down, having to kind of pull yourself out of things. Players. But other than that, I just love seeing people do what they're brilliant at and excel in it. And tennis is one of those. Gymnastics is another one.
Yeah.
That's why the Olympics would be a good one.
The Olympics make it fun because you are like, look, and like the Winter Olympics too, like where it's like so bizarre. You're like, do I care about people who can ski and shoot a rifle? I guess today I do, because it's interesting to watch how good they are at this, and so it is, that is funny, but it is like, tennis is an extremely mental sport. You're so alone. Like you have to, it's unique. I mean, golf is like it, but it's different because it's less intense. Like you have a caddy, you have a coach really coaching you too. So anyway, it is that's funny. It's interesting to know because did you play any other sports growing up, Colette? Did you play cricket? Did you play rugby? Did you play any other sports growing up?
Oh yeah, let me think about it. I just did
handball
the other day. So you have to remember I grew up in England, so women's sports weren't necessarily popular. They didn't let the
they were banned, by the way. They were banned until you couldn't play football until the 70s in England. It was banned, right? 60s, 70s?
That's right, yeah. There was like 53,000 people at a game, and the English FA didn't like it, so they shut it down. But it was true story. And but no, I played a game called netball, which is like basketball but without the backboard. And then a game called rounders, which is kind of a cross between baseball and cricket.
Okay.
And then field hockey.
Yeah.
Which I like that. It was a really good, similar to to soccer a little bit.
Yeah, a little. It's like hockey and soccer kind of mixed together, right? It has the curved stick, and yeah.
Yeah, curved stick and a round ball that was really hurt a lot when you got whacked in the wrong place. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. What do you think is the biggest area of improvement for Aurora 1? Like when you're looking, I mean, obviously you want to improve at everything. You want to be ready for the elite level of the playoffs, like an improving league. Is there something, in terms of something tangible, the team can grow at, and it'll be something that, you'd see as a potential for future success?
Yeah, I think we're really challenging the players to have that grittiness in winning the ball back. We've been known for this high press, but I think right now we're really challenging the players on reducing the time of transition when we lose the ball to regaining it, and just having that real grittiness of let's get back and do that tough work at times. We believe that that's going to pay off dividends back into the season as well, with playing against more challenging opponents. Those are some of the areas that we're really seeing. And then obviously that creativity in the attack, right? We've got players that bring different qualities. Not every player is the same. And we want to bring that attacking flair. Each player bringing what they bring to kind of have a little bit more interchange in positions, and really flood that back line with numbers.
Well, sorry, my stream's behind you, but I'm just watching what had gone on in the box here. I'll find out in a little bit. But I want to ask you, so we had a bunch of Aurora players from last year go pro. It was an exciting thing for us to, not that much coverage we could follow, but we could at least get some of it. For the people on the stream, I'm going to pause this because you saw this already, but there's about to be a free kick from within the box. A layoff. Oh, like a true heroic. I could rewind it if I know you were going to get to see it. A heroic.
No, we saw it.
It was
and
good.
then the follow up.
Another corner too.
I think I believe what the official called. Oh wow! Another big event is going to take place, but it is not a goal. I believe what the official was calling is that the keeper picked up the ball, but they ruled it to have been a pass.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a PK, but it was a free kick or something.
Indirect. It was indirect.
The very rare in the box indirect free kick.
I caused that when I played keeper in an adult league, and I didn't know. I'd never been a keeper who picked the ball up or waited to pick it up, and so I picked it up, set it down, picked it up again. They're like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "I just saw someone kind of pick it up and whatever. I didn't know." And but my team blocked it, so shout out to my co-ed team in the Duluth League 10 years ago because I'm washed up. But Colette, what I was going to ask you is, a lot of Aurora players went pro after last year. That's been a pathway. Obviously, you have players who want to do that now. We have the USL Super League starting relatively soon, and then European leagues also. How much are you having to field calls about players, about people just gauging general interest? How much is that a part of your daily life? Because I know there's players who are going to be pro after this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It comes with the territory. We're excited for the Super League this year and being new and providing more opportunities for players to play at that Division 1 level. It's weekly basis, contacting or being contacted just to keep up to date with what's going on so that we can help advise players as well. We've got players that are pursuing that pro component, and we want to support them as much as we can along the way. Excited to see how many are able to get into that level this year.
Yeah, for people who don't know, it's 8 teams this year. Players are starting to be announced. Branding. We'll talk a little bit more about it too when Colette's gone. We have more space. I'll just talk a little bit about the Super League, but very exciting. And the history of additional leagues being born in the U.S. can be shaky. There's leagues that drop. This one feels a bit different. And of course, you're always going to feel what's going to look like. It's a different schedule. But it does feel a bit more solid, and we're seeing really legitimate players being signed. And so it's exciting for us to get to see how that will turn out. How much, when you were at the U.S. game with your players, you got to do that. The team, I think, went to a Lynx game, right? This team gets all these fun opportunities. What's been your favorite, community or event opportunity like that so far?
Yeah, no, it's been incredible thanks to the sponsors that are providing that opportunity for them. I think one of the things hasn't happened yet. We start camps next week, and I think that's one of the, it's going to be exciting, right, to have an opportunity to engage with the community. Next week we have 7, 8, and 9-year-olds coming in for camp. We've about 65 of them, and a lot of the players will be working at those camps as coaches, which is really, really fun.
Cool.
For them to have the opportunity to just explore more connections with the community. Those are young children that are coming to the games as well, and so they're just really embracing that role of being role models for young boys and girls, which is fantastic.
Oh, that'll be so fun. Judging from, I'll never remember it. Wow, that was a good shot. 40 seconds ago for you, but I just saw it. I'll never forget just the first season when they did that autograph alley. I was done interviewing players and I thought, well, gosh, I'll just go get a video of this whole line. And I just took a video walking the whole autograph alley line, and we got like 3,000 views on it because it was just like the energy is really good. I think people also love the fact that every player's there and everyone gets a chance. So I can see the energy from kids. I could only imagine what it'll be like at the have you gotten in on the autograph alley line, Cled? I wasn't there at the home game. Did you go sign? People would want yours too. You got to get over there after the media.
There might Mark, you might have missed the shot on that.
Oh no, I'm gonna play it back. It just came in. I'm gonna play it back for people.
Okay. It was who else but Aurora 2 absolute top line banger, Ava Westland, I believe, who fired that rocket top shelf.
It was good. We'll have to go back and get the highlight of that. Yeah. No, sorry about that. No, but Colette, when I was I'll wait till Colette gets back in here. We'll see. Oh, here it comes. I think we're in the matter of it's coming soon. What a playthrough. Ooh, good finish. Love that. Woo. Ava Westland's been scoring. She has been actually, I think, by far the leading scorer of Aurora 2. Killing it. Here we go. We got Matt Collette back. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
I can't see you quite yet, but I can hear you. We just watched the replay of Ava Westland's goal. Wonderful play through. I'll have to rewatch it to see who played to her through. Wonderful slip pass, and she just finished it. Yeah. 1-1. And don't forget, Aurora 2 is playing with 10. Something we forgot. I can hear you. I can't see you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yep, we can hear you.
Right on.
I'll just try. Why don't we can say goodbye to Colette so she doesn't have to stare into a blank.
Colette, thank you so much for getting on. We loved learning a bit more about your soccer perspective. And look, there's games Thursday and Saturday for Aurora at TCO. So I hope everyone's out. We'll appreciate talking to you soon, Colette.
Thanks, and thanks to everybody watching. Keep supporting A2. They're doing a phenomenal job. Hopefully we can get this game 2-1 in the next couple of minutes. Thanks so much.
Let's do it. Love it. Yeah, neglected to say, we're a little focused on the conversations. I'm sorry, but look, yeah, Aurora 2 is playing with 10 people. They equalized on a sweet, sweet pass and finish. And so now we have to see if they can somehow get that winner back. I'll remind people, we just talked to Colette Montgomery, the head coach of Aurora, and I'm going to let you guys know also the standings currently for them, because Aurora actually for tomorrow and Saturday are in a place where they actually really need to get some results or make sure to keep winning, because we do not know the playoff format, but we do know that Chicago City is up top and that Minnesota Aurora only has so many games left. I'm trying to pull this up still. Matt came back.
Can you hear me?
We can. No, I was just saying to folks how tight it is. Because we do not yet know the way that Aurora 1 will be able to make the playoffs. We also don't know, by the way, UPSL, we're hearing in terms of the UPSL women, last year it ended in a 4-team just playoff to determine a division winner. We're hearing that's likely the similar type of situation now. It's a new league. It's very national but spread out. And so doing some sort of aggregated national tournament would probably be expensive for teams. And so we're thinking that will be more local. So just so folks know, Aurora 2 are in a good place to make whatever playoff that may be. For Aurora 1, we don't know the playoff format yet. They are behind at this point, both Riverlight and Chicago City SC. So very little room for error, Matt.
Yeah, but I mean, it was good to hear Colette describe it this way. I mean, essentially every game is a must-win for Aurora at this point because they control their own destiny. If they win out, they can win the conference, of course, but that means they have to win out. And so we see from Brian commenting, Chicago City, you might have already mentioned that Chicago City beat Dutch Lions, so they continue their run on top of the table. Aurora in third. So, you know, on paper, Rochester is the easier matchup, but Rochester can play. Like, they're going to give Aurora a fight on Thursday, tomorrow night. That's going to be a very real game. And then Saturday's another very real game. So every game from here on out is going to be really tough. I do think fans should expect some rotation in the squad tomorrow because the season is getting further on. The team has to prepare and work these weekends as a unit. And so there's only a day in between the Thursday to Saturday game this weekend. I would expect tomorrow night's lineup to look at least somewhat different than what you've seen from the squad so far. Do not be surprised if there's some very real rotation in that 11 and maybe even in the 18.
Yeah. And shout out to Rochester FC, man. I bought this hat. They sent us some other gear. Shout out to them because, I mean, we love
really good stuff.
Shout out to my dorks, but they're my loons. I think their loon logo is maybe better than the Minnesota United one. But yeah, so I mean, the loons, you could call them the also loons if you wanted to be like harsh about it, but they're the loons, baby, in women's soccer.
Honestly, and when we talk about, we shouted out Vlora earlier, we have to shout out Rochester. Rochester from the beginning had a quality stream. They do a quality game day environment. You know, from what we hear, they support their players pretty well. They recruited even more impressively this year. They pulled in some big dogs. Mark just had some on the team. You know, Ada Kardovich is like a multi-time All Big East midfielder who's played youth national team stuff. I mean, that's just a really big-time player to come up here in the summer and play Minnesota. And you know, shout out to Rochester because, like we said, any club that's investing to try and do things the right way, trying to give visibility to their players, we just got to shout them out. Their head coach is a woman who has some experience with RCTC, I believe with other Minnesota programs. So just really, really cool. And so, shout out to them. And their merch they sent is sweet. They're like the
this is corduroy, maybe, if you didn't notice. Yeah. Good for the fall, especially. I will say, too, Rochester FC is getting into the USL Academy. So they're the first team like that getting into the USL Academy for Minnesota. Another, you know, kind of elite youth level. And it just shows like they have intention to have every level. I think someone told me they were looking to have it was them or another team looking to have a UPSL reserve team. I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, no, they announced it for 2025 that they will have one. Right. And then they also have the academy. So it's, I mean, little city with the most teams of anyone for Minnesota for sure.
Mark, I don't know if you are able to have this up. In the WPSL, a couple games at least one game was happening tonight. I don't know if you're able to find that up. I'm not sure if there was even a stream. And we did have some weather delay here.
Yeah, it looks like so. Salvo is slated to play Minnesota Thunder, which are the two heaviest names and it doesn't look like anything ever came up. We had a delay in this game. I don't know if it was just either not streamed or that they had a delay. Yeah, we'll have to see. I'll dig in on social to see as well. But one question for you, Matt. We've referenced the Super League a lot. Oh, I just had to play off the post. I'm sorry. I'm delayed.
It was insane in person. The discipline I'm showing by not reacting, I am doing so well.
Yeah. So the 8 teams that are announced, just so people know, because we will have some Minnesotans on these teams. It will give us a nice edge into covering them. They're playing a European schedule, but with a long break, so it won't be so different from our leagues, except for the midsummer break. They'll play late August to mid-December, mid-February to mid-May. And so we will have some extra coverage that we can do, especially next year when Madison joins. This year, USL Super League is Brooklyn FC. Tim Weah just became an owner. Carolina Ascent, Dallas Trinity, DC Power, Fort Lauderdale United, Lexington SC, Spokane Zephyr FC, Tampa Bay Sun FC. So you got Florida, you have the Mid-South, you have kind of a concentration. The year after, by the way, for us locals, we'll see Madison theoretically join, as well as Indianapolis. So we will get even more, and then a bunch of other teams, and like there's a couple Arizona, West Coast, Oakland Roots are going to move up, or Oakland Soul, I should say, theoretically moving up to the Super League. Matt, as we see players announce and whatever, what's your general vibe on the Super League? I kind of referenced more promising than other kind of looser fly-by-night announcements and leagues. It seems like it's going to be real as you see it kind of come together. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, honestly, every step of the way has made it feel more and more real. I think when it was first announced, you just don't know. When a league doesn't exist yet, how are you supposed to get your hopes up? We are so in favor of new pro leagues because it means more player opportunity. And that's, a huge reason why we do what we do. You mentioned there's going to be signings. We know for a fact a Minnesotan is going to be in the Super League. I will tell people who happen to be watching right.
Yeah, are we cursing it? It's not us. Yeah.
No, it's official. And listen, if someone bothered watching this stream until now, you get the inside scoop. It's being announced tomorrow. So we should be hearing tomorrow the Minnesotan who's getting signed. Just say
first of many, hopefully,
the first. I'm assuming there will be multiple. To be honest with you, Spokane had a tryout the other day, and Mackenzie Rath, who's playing in this game right now, was in a picture.
He was in the pictures, baby.
So we and I will tell you, there was actually another Aurora-related player that I won't name who was also at that tryout. So we are going to have Minnesotans in this league. It is going to be a blast to cover. I will say a big reason why I'm excited about it is we will be able to watch the streams. We will be able to cover the teams. The stats will exist. Things that we need to cover the teams will exist. We will cover these teams on the ground. It will be such a blast.
Yeah.
And I think what you're already seeing, and all you have to do is go to that list I made of all the Super League teams. What you're seeing already is a bit of a stratification on which teams are sort of leading in terms of their ambition. Tampa Bay, for example, versus which ones are only now getting to those announcements. And so I think what I'm looking to see is which ownership groups and which front offices clearly are putting themselves at the top of that league. But I'll be honest with you, I'm very, very excited about it now. I think it's going to be really fun. I don't think we've seen the broadcast deal announced, but that's one element that I'm curious to track. But I just think it's going to be super, super fun. It's
a lot of them are in facilities where it should present well. I mean, there'll be lumps, right? It's a new league. Like there's not going to be like attendance right away. Some of the clubs have the benefit. Most of them are partnering with an existing USL club, or they have a men's club in another way, or youth club. So there are those built-in things, but it's difficult. But I should say, like for the scale of people, it's like NWSL is expanding really quick, just like the WNBA, because like they have a lot of opportunity. Men's soccer, if you counted the MLS, the USL Super League, USL League One, NISA even include, and if you included MLS Next Pro, you wouldn't really include as separate teams. But there's close to like 180, 100. I mean, there's a lot of teams, and so for women right now we have 12. It's
14, 16, whatever. Yeah.
So there's room, and then also Canada's starting up too. NSL.
The other thing I forgot to mention when you mentioned the schedule, I actually, because we know players are going to start getting announced, I did a scrub today, and you are seeing what I think you'd expect to see, which is the northernmost teams have their schedule weighted so that their home games are early and road games are late. So, and it's to a very aggressive degree, and I say that in a positive way. So, for example, Spokane, as an example, has easily the sort of northernmost coldest market so far before Madison joins. I think their last 5 games are all on the road. So of like 14, all 5 in a row, and they start with like 4 at home. And so I think that makes sense. I think it's smart. I think you're reducing your risk of like venue issues. And like you said, I think a lot of these venues are going to be either a refurbished setup, or Spokane is a new stadium, for example. Tampa Bay, they're renovating a high school, you know, investing a lot of money in it. DC actually, I think, is playing in Audi Field, which is kind of exciting. So yeah, I couldn't be more excited. I hope all of our Minnesotans who, you know, keep playing pro have the opportunity, because I'd love for the, you know, Minnesota fans to be able to see them in person.
Yeah, and to give, we still don't know if there is an actual stream. I got to double check the social. I was looking at the streaming site of if WPSL stream is up tonight. But for people who don't know, as you'd expect, it's only a couple games in. Sioux Falls City, Minnesota Thunder, Salvo, Minnesota, and Mankato have won games. Rochester United had a good game. We watched Sioux Falls City get 7 on Rochester United. And for people who follow Equal Time and for people who care about seeing us get on the road, I am going to Sioux Falls on June 15th. I'm going to be there on the ground. So we're going to get that content there from the 605 area. What do you know about the area codes, Matt? It was 605 day today, I think. And I was like, I guess, does the state have a day? It's only one area code in the state, so having 605 day is interesting. But
yeah, and we can tell folks too. Friday night, Sioux Falls is playing. Is it MTA?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll double check, but yeah.
Sioux Falls is in the game of the week for the WPSL, and so we're going to do another one of these. You could call this our practice one. We're going to do a watch along because it is one of the WPSL games of the week.
They're hosting the Thunder.
Yep. So Sioux Falls hosts the Thunder. That's a huge game, and we will be doing a watch along. So tune in then. And here, let's watch this play here. It's choppy for me, but Mark, you call it.
Woo! Oof, played it in the box. You might have called it a foul, but yeah. Returning in. Ooh. Oh! Getting the shot in, getting the spill rebound. I just keep forgetting because there's no indicator. Like when you watch a pro league, there's no red card showing, but like they're playing with 10. That was a wonderful combo. I'm gonna do a rewind for people because I want to see it again.
Yep.
It's actually cool about it being on. You're watching this play. Oof. Oh, I gotta rewind further. I love the freedom of this watch along. It's so great. Yeah, I mean, honestly.
And for those who want some good background, Milan Cordone is the goal scorer. She plays up in North Dakota, and she's originally from Vegas. I met her mom at the last Aurora 2 game I worked here. She's been working back from an injury. She had some back issues trying to get back for. She gets healthy. She gets in the game, and she scores the game winner. What a story for Milan Cordone.
Here it comes, yeah. It was nice. They just kind of tried something, like take a hit. Oh, that was just a funky layoff. The defender.
But a good hold. Good job to shield the defender.
Just try something. The keeper probably will wish they smothered that. But what a great reaction.
And that's also why you chase the ball. It's why, as an offensive player, you continue that run.
Yeah.
Because the one time the keeper isn't able to get it, you kick it in.
Right.
No, and I think particularly that's a similar quality to what Vlora got on their first goal. And so I think you could say that's maybe soccer karma coming back.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, that's the Wondolowski where you're like, he's not fast, he's not good at anything, he's just always in the right spot. You're like, well, he's in the right spot. That's what he did. And he's like, yeah.
Well, and Cardone is one of those players that Aurora 2 just hasn't been able to have in the lineup. You know, she's someone who has D1 experience, really solid player, you know, comes in, and just is able to get in there. And so once Aurora 2 is starting to get these players in there, and Jade letting us know only came in 5 minutes ago. So one of her first touches, just an incredible touch. We will say too, because, Jade was on the show, Prim got the assist on that first goal too, Ellie Primorano. So shout out to the Huskies. Ellie's been very, very good for this team, playing sometimes on the right, sometimes inverted on the left.
Really active player on the wing, just kind of finds little ways to,
Well, and we mentioned Lainey early in the show. Lainey now is on. She's been sort of the first choice left back, and she is on now. She is so fun to watch for Mankato, and she's been so good for Aurora too. And just really great to see a player like that. Now when we're covering the NSIC in the fall, I'll have all these memories of Lainey just being such a good angular athlete at outside back. When I talked to her post-game, she said she'd never played outside back before. Mankato lost a couple outside backs, and she just gets thrown there. Isn't that the story of, like, every other outside back in the world?
Yeah. People, I don't know what it is about, people cannot make out, especially left backs. You're like, good God, use your left foot. Like, it's too much. But no, I will say, when it comes to the Raps playing together, for some reason, this is something I have on my desk. Matt and I won a conference title together, baby, against 5 of the other worst soccer teams in the whole state. And then also, we didn't even have the Christian school. We didn't have Hillcrest.
No, we did.
I don't think in 10th grade we did, but
no, that was from junior year when we won.
No,
we won it junior year. Hillcrest Academy is a private school in Fergus Falls. Half their team were all Latinx players who were really, really talented. The other half were literal Norwegians who were exchange students. And the only reason we won is a couple of their games, a couple of players were ineligible. And so both teams were undefeated, and we ended up winning it. Shout out to Hackensack Akeley.
It was even more international than that because, it was definitely like, it's like everyone, but they were one of the best teams to play in the whole, in our whole lives growing up. So shout out to them. I will say too, in terms of UPSL followers, I'll be up in Superior when Superior plays. Who do they play? It's on June 30th, and I will be up in the Twin Ports to get some on the ground stuff when they play the No Ordinary Soccer Club Blast.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm in midnight. It is very American soccer naming. I love it, kind of.
The Blast. I mean, the Blast are scrappy. They scrap you up. They have that really, really high impact forward who's scored a ton of their goals. Barrett Parton, we interviewed her post game. She's going to Iowa next fall, so she'll be playing alongside Minnesota Maya Hansen and Aurora keeper Taylor Kane. So that's kind of fun. And as Brian Decker mentions in the comments, huge game for Aurora too if they're able to hold on. There's still some time left, and both these teams have been playing really hard. But it would basically take them into top of the table. So they came into this a point behind Vlora. And what a huge win. And by the way, what a gutsy game. Like, these teams are just, like, playing their asses off. This is just, like, really good chances both ways. And as we said, Aurora, too, playing a player down for the bulk of the second half. Molly Knobloch, a little unlucky, the St. Thomas central midfielder, to get that second yellow on a legitimately hard tackle, but, just tough to get 2 yellows.
Also, you could have called that a regular foul, but I did want to ask something else because I know we should get some players up in Canada too. That the Northern Super League was named as the new Canadian Pro League, and there's no one really close. Winnipeg's not in it for us, but it is still exciting to see teams like Calgary Wild, AFC Toronto. There's Ottawa, Montreal, Halifax, Vancouver. So one of the things they said, by the way, is the minimum salary is $50,000, which may sound low, and it is for what they deserve. But it's better than what the minimum NWSL in the last 8 years was, like $20,000 or under. And so you have to.
It's more than that now. It's more than that now.
Of course. no, and thanks to the Players Association has worked really hard where the minimum's now more like 60, I think, or something. But so the fact that, but in Canadian sports, they're starting that league, the minimum will be 50. They're going to allow for one player to be like an over budgeted person. They've taken a lot from American sports, but the Canadian Premier League for the men has worked very well. And has slowly built and grown and fed people in their national team. And so the Canadian women are a much better team than the men. They certainly need that context. So it's fun to see how that will grow for us.
And it's worth noting too that the USL Super League hasn't published what these amounts will be, but in announcing the league, they did say they want it to have parity with the USL Championship, the men's league, which does have a collective bargaining agreement. And again, shout out to these players unions. I don't know if we ever like explicitly just say it. Shout out to these players unions, which are the reason why players get better treatment and better pay. The Super USL has said that they will do parity, which also would raise the pay in that league and have at least okay salaries there as well. Mark, the Canadian league has not yet said how they'll handle international spots, right? Because obviously the men's league was largely built to be a Canadian developmental league. Do you know, have they mentioned how many international roster spots yet? I don't think I've seen it.
Not that I've seen, no, but I would imagine they'd prioritize, although with only 6 teams, or it won't be terribly difficult, I guess, to be able to prioritize that. But they'll pull some players. I mean, that's because I mean, they'll definitely be able to pull some players, and especially for the Canadian women who have to play in Europe and everywhere else, or in the US, I mean, that'll be a good opportunity for them. I mean, for the Super League, it'll be very interesting because those men, they had to work for that collective bargaining for a long time. Like, as any first CBA, you have no prior established language. So sorry, I worked a contract negotiation and it almost killed me against some hospitals. So, but if there's no prior language, you have to agree on everything. So they have to say, well, we want a minimum salary, we want this. And so only now in the NWSL are we seeing them get to the actual functional parts of not just bare minimums and like revenue sharing and things like that. So a very cool thing that that's the intent of the Super League. It will be a challenge. I mean, you just have owners willing to take a loss. It's not a huge loss, but they just have to take a loss. 7-figure, low 7-figure maybe every year, and know that the value is going to keep growing.
Yeah, and while we're at it, while we're shouting out all these players unions, really, I think the start of this most recent modern era in women's sports was when the WNBA signed their most recent collective bargaining agreement. That was viewed across sports as being very landmark for what it provided for players. And I think them, and then the NWSL, but the men's USL championship, all these steps are just, it matters when other unions make that progress, because then there's that solidarity. There are, as you said, Mark, you don't have to do everything from scratch. And so all those wins matter. If the WNBA puts parental leave in so players can leave if they have a kid, NWSL then has the pressure to have that. And so a rising tide lifts all boats. And it's great to see so much player focus in some of these new developments for sure.
When the women's team and men's team for the U.S. finally came to, part of it was the federation, part of it was the actual unions having to agree of like, how do we agree on what the shared stuff is first, what equality means. And the women, of course, because of having many people in the position of being a mother and having to be caregivers, they had to prioritize maternal care. And the men had never, there were interviews about this and the men's team also happens to be at the time way younger. There are a lot of like people in their 20s and they're like, we don't think about, we're not dads yet or whatever. And so it was never their priority. And so when they equalized and matched those up, immediately men started bringing their babies into camp. And then there were all this content of like the other players, even though they're like 24 and 23, be like, oh, I'm like Tyler Adams holding Walker Zimmerman's baby and stuff. And so that stuff matters because it's like people seeing that like, dads bring their babies to work. It's like, it's a cool thing.
Yeah, great play there by Ava Westland. Almost got on the board, but just not quite able to get past the keeper. Just such a good burst and really good body control. She's a freshman out at California Baptist. I interviewed her post-game in the last match, and just a really when you see her physically in person, just a really good physical frame. I think she's someone that could be fun to track. Mark tracks all these Minnesotans who play D1 and other programs across the country. She'll be one to watch on that goals column for sure. We're hearing in the comments from Brian Decker that supposedly from the WPSL website, Salvo 110. So that would put them in a tie. In a tie for first place in the WPSL, which means the games on Friday will again shake up those standings, which is great. They're now tied with both MTA and Sioux Falls, and we said MTA plays at Sioux Falls on Friday. We'll have that watch along for you. Just a gargantuan amount of summer league soccer to cover.
Yeah.
But if you saw the Google sheet that Mark and I live in, it is gross. It is absurd.
So I got to get Brian's Venmo. I'm just going to send him $50 every month to be like, hey man, I mean, I love doing the digging, but yeah, it's like, I try to just cultivate the vibe. Yeah. It's too much work. No, for people too, in terms of USL terms, upcoming content, we'll have at least one other show. I'm guessing maybe 2 more for UPSL squads, but I have Skills FC on June 10th that I'll be doing a show with, and they're a club where it's like their focus. Skills FC is intentional. The name represents their focus of like kind of doing skills development, and I think playing indoor a lot and small-sided. Look, I don't know. That's why I'm going to find out with you guys on June 10th. So, and then we'll get some other summer league squads in as well. But yeah, wow, that WPSL lineup. It's a little nothing ever came up on Huddle, so that's tough. Otherwise, Huddle's been okay. It's honestly determined by the team. The Huddle.
I think the all the platforms where these games happen, it still largely is based on the team. And just to be honest with you, teams continue to sort of underinvest in this. We don't want to shit on anybody, but most teams continue to underinvest, and so. I will say, for whatever it's worth, who's ever listening, when these games are on YouTube, Mark's already used it multiple times. YouTube allows you to reverse the stream if leagues care and if everything else is even and you need a tipping point thing. It is hugely helpful to be able to scroll back for the sake of coverage. So.
Yeah. Also, it seems like some people on Huddle, I mean, this is great. I wonder if anyone gives a shit that we're saying this, but some of the teams on Huddle seem like they can have past games available. And so for us, when there's a million games all weekend and I bartend all weekend, we can't watch that many. But if they're all rewindable, we'll go back and do I did it for Rochester FC's game, do video clips of just the goals. So we want to be able to do that. We like adding it to Insta and the players sharing it on Insta. So if any coaches are watching this, I bet one is share in the comments, coach. But we love to have that. And so and I'm sure you guys want it to be able to scout. And so if it's public, it's not that big a deal. It'd be rare. It's only us. But I think there's plenty of people who would watch that stuff. And so we appreciate the people who put in that work. We know
And Mark, does the NSIC website lets you go back and find old games? Shout out to the NSIC. Yeah. And I believe it also lets you back scroll. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So just shout out to them. Honestly, the production quality for those games is great across the conference. Yeah. And so shout out to them too.
And I'll just say for folks, the game is winding down. We try to highlight the team as much as we can. And by the way, any team, if you have a team that will play on YouTube or whatever, when I'm working at the Blackheart during the day or at times, when there's nothing else on, I'll throw your game on. So, I mean, if you come in and say, oh, we got even just a crew of people want to watch it, I'm game. I have a lot of fun getting the different soccer fans into the Blackheart. So just know, we're always happy to promote your stuff. I'm happy to help you throw it on at the bar. We like getting the summer league crowds. And so having good streams helps. So here we go. Aurora impressive to get the 2-1 comeback for Aurora too. On Vlora, that's been solid.
Yeah, really, really, really impressive. To come back, Vlora scores first. Aurora just keeps battling, able to pull even, a player down, able to pull ahead. I think you're really starting to see the run of play in this conference improve game by game. An absolute blast to do this with you guys. Reminder, like Mark said, if you're a team and wants us to do this, shoot us a message. We are game for almost anything. If anyone is actually still watching right now, shout out for you sharing our stuff is the most valuable thing you can do. I mean, thank you for being patrons. Thanks for doing it. You sharing our stuff is still the best thing you can do. So shout out to everyone who retweets our stuff, shares our stuff on Insta, and get crazy. Do even more.
It says 250 people are watching us on Twitter. What are you guys doing? Go do something more fun. I love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll do more. We'll do more. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. We will connect soon. Stay tuned tomorrow for some Aurora coverage at home. Later.